Elaine?
This is 5 minutes. I'll read it as fast as I can. This is a memorable week in the world of public education. 25 years ago, the Public Education and Business Coalition was founded. And 25 years ago, almost to the day, April 26, 1983, a historic report titled A Nation at Risk was published. This report identified poor academic performance at nearly every level and warned that the education system was, quote, being eroded by a rising tide of mediocrity. It went even further to say, quote, if an unfriendly foreign power had attempted to impose on America the mediocre educational performance that exists today, we might well have viewed it as an act of war. As it stands, we have allowed this to happen to ourselves, unquote, 1983. Now, 25 years later, how well are we doing in Colorado? Well, our state earns an A in the country based on the percentage of adults with a 2- or 4-year college degree. Our high school graduation rate earns us a C+ when compared to other states. Additionally, gaps in reading and math between poor and non-poor students earn Colorado an F. Clearly, the primary reason everyone is at this luncheon today is because we wholeheartedly believe we can improve our schools. And if it can happen anywhere, it can and will happen here in Colorado. So why am I the eternal optimist? Because I see many signs of progress, such as the Zones of Innovation proposal allowing schools and groups of schools to gain freedom in hiring, staffing, and scheduling. ProComp that you've heard about today, Denver's teachers' pay reform plan drawing national attention from presidential candidates and national news publications. And as we speak, Governor Bill Ritter's comprehensive school reform bill is in the final stages of deliberation in the legislature. Among many elements, the bill challenges long-held assumptions about seat time as a prerequisite to a high school diploma. Equally important, it recognizes that students learn differently and at different rates. By anyone's measure, we have the commitment. We all want to improve public schools to the point where results are a non-issue, to the point where we are global leaders in education. But we acknowledge that our progress is not sufficient. Can we afford to run the risk that in another quarter century, we will still be considered a nation at risk while we compete in a global economy? No, we cannot. Allow me to pose a few provocative questions for consideration. First, would it make sense for the United States or the state of Colorado to treat their teachers like they are treated in Finland? Finland is a global educational leader, ranked first among industrial countries in reading literacy and second in science. Why? Because teachers in Finland are valued at a very high level. Master's level teacher programs must be completed in order to begin work as a grade school teacher. The status of teachers is comparable to that of doctors and lawyers. The highest achieving countries, Sweden, Ireland, the Netherlands, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, as Time magazine recently pointed out, have been pouring resources into teacher training and support. By comparison, between a quarter and a third of new teachers in this country walk away from the profession within their first 3 years on the job. As many as 50% leave poor urban schools within 5 years. Second question is around standards. Are schools geared toward the same goal, aiming for the same target? National studies have revealed major disparities in what states determine to be acceptable levels of performance. As an Atlantic magazine reporter wrote, the decision to allow states to set their own standards and devise scores for their own tests, quote, underscores the folly of a modern nation worried about its global competitiveness, close quote. And as the former head of the education program at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation recently said, quote, we are 2 decades into the standards movement in this country, and standards are still different by classroom, by school, district, and by state, end quote. If this is a national problem, shouldn't we have national uniform standards and national uniform expectations? Finally, are we clear as a state on what we expect our school systems to produce? Without a clear agreement on the talents, skills, knowledge, and character of the young adults we are expecting our schools to turn out, how can they organize their work? Should all students have the option to go to college? I think all of us would agree the answer is a firm yes. If we are clear about that question, we can also be clear about the reality that there are many equally compelling, stimulating, rewarding, and enriching paths to follow after high school other than college. These are provocative questions. I'm sure there are many more that could be posed and must be answered. Today, let's look back on the progress we made. At the same time, let's do everything we can together to set a course now so we will be able to say that the rising tide of mediocrity transformed itself into a rising tide of high expectations, high standards, and widespread success. We are not a nation at risk. We are a nation of possibility, and never has there been a time when what is possible in public education is within our grasp. Let us seize that opportunity.
Thanks, Elaine.